Okay, welcome everybody. Been getting a lot of requests for some tutorials. I got some time off work today, so I'm going to do my first tutorial. Before I start though, I want to thank everybody who has all the subscribers who have joined here in the last week or so, couple weeks. We've had a lot of new people join. So especially want to send a shout out to the couple employees over at Blue Links I know very well from my other job. Thank you for subscribing there, Andrew and Jade. Really appreciate your support. So I've been getting a lot of requests for tutorials, and that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to start with the human head, the face, because if you've noticed in my drawings, that's where I always start. So once again, we'll draw this one a little bit bigger than normal. We're not trying to get a whole figure. I like to draw the dome first, top part of the head. And this will also be showing on GCI, which is my DC Comics channel. And this is my Marvel and cartoon characters that I'm basically putting here on GBS Gibson book. But the covers I do, I include the GBS logo, and but they're actually being accomplished by GCI Studios. So this is how I start. I get a dome. It's not really, an oval. I get a basic line for the jaw. We'll actually do a Superman face this time, just so we're not trying to put a mask on him like it would be with Superman. So that's how I start right there. You get a good dome going. Of course, at this stage, we're drawing light using the 2.0 graphite. So I'm not trying to get too many details in at this point. I'm just getting the rough structure laid out. So if you have any questions along the way, this will be uploading. And then of course, I'll also make a copy of this and upload it on GCI as part of my tutorials. So this is our center line. Our dome is a nice big oval. I draw and indicate the jaw line before I get too far along. And basically like that. So if you want to grab some paper, pencil, we'll start there. And it's pretty basic, very simple. Keeping it light because these are just the guidelines. We're not, this isn't the final product by any means. And this is just how I start with a comic character. This is a direct face, not turn 3/4 or anything. Just a nice, getting used to drawing the faces, get them where you want them. Now the next line I usually do is indicate some temple markers. Because if you look at the human head from the top, so this will be looking down on a skull, the human head does something like this, where it's a little bit narrower up front and it widens toward the back. So, and then your ears would be here, in your brows here. So your temples set in a little bit as the head goes back and it gets wider. So I just kind of put some lines in there because that also helps with the eyebrows as you're going along as you continue. Now I come down about a third of the way from this brow line. I usually just put a few marks, just the nostrils for the nose. You don't want to get too many lines in the nose because especially in comic art it starts looking a little bit sketchy. What's going on, Jennifer? Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining my tutorial today on drawing the human face in the comic form. Now the next post I like to go for is coming just above maybe the nose line and indicating the cheekbones, because the superheroes have strong jaws and predominant cheekbones. So if you can see, it's already starting to look a little like something. Just draw a little shadowed spot here and just come out with the mouth. And that's a little too high. See, I don't like it. That's why you draw light, so that you can make your adjustments as you go. Just keep a simple line. You can make it thicker or darker or lighter or not as you go. And then for the bottom lip in the comic book, thank you for joining, Jennifer, again. Appreciate you being here for this. Draw a little bit heavier line, a little bit shorter line, just to indicate the bottom lip. You don't want to get, again, drawing too much tail. Maybe thicken up this mouth line a little bit. So we're already starting to see, you know, something coming through here. Neck on a superhero is usually a little thicker than your average person's neck, so we're going to make this jawline strong, coming down to this chin. Now, before we lay out the eyes, I'd like to show you a simple way of indicating the ears, especially in this straight on image. So if you just come up here, I'm going to draw one out here. So say this is the side of the head. I just come up with the ear, go a little bit straight, and then down. And then you can add a little bit of the ear detail, you know, depending on how big the picture is. It's as simple as that. And a little bit of the lobe. Hello, Harshal. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the tutorial of a GBS and GCI. That's both of my channels. So when you're laying that out, you're coming up, you know, just a little bit above the eye, because you think if you had glasses on, it would rest right here and come forward. And just going like this. So we're going to do this on both sides. And again, we're using the 2.0 lead just to get things roughed out. You can do the top line, but probably not much more than that. And these features are going to be exaggerated because it is a superhero. And what I like to do with them is just make a few little lines here. It goes a long ways toward giving it some realism, but it's a nice, simple way. And keeping the nostrils thin and small right there. So you're set. So you can, I like to come back here to get our brow ridge line. And I always draw Superman with a little bit of a serious or almost a stern look on his face. So I'm bringing these eyebrow lines up and around. So that kind of gives you that impression. Now also what I include on Superman are almost like dimples, but it helps streamline the face and gives you that classic. It already looks a little bit more like Superman right there, doesn't it? So at this stage, I'll just come in and darken these where these eyebrows are going to be. And you can tell that it's coming to be Superman with the eyebrows darkening. Now from the eyebrow, I like to come in and get the top lines of the nose blocked in. Just a couple simple lines right there. And maybe a little bit indicator here for a chin. Nothing serious, but Superman also has a predominant chin. And also at this stage with this pencil, it's a good time to get the hair roughed in. Superman is not bald, in case you didn't know. So I'm just going to do some basic shapes. I like to kind of do the Jim Lee style hair where it's coming up. And so I'm just doing just getting some loose lines and outline to indicate where the hair is going to be, not getting too worried about each individual hair. I do not have Instagram, and I've been told that I should by several people, but I have not done that yet. I'm exclusively on YouTube right now for either Gibson Book, which is what we're on right now, which this is typically my Marvel and cartoon characters. But I'm just doing the tutorial that I'm going to actually between this and GCI, my other. So if you'll notice the hair, of course we're drawing Superman, so we start with that curl. But we're just kind of roughing out these lines, getting the shape of what the hair is going to look like. And then we can, of course, get rid of those structure lines where the skull was. But we're already getting it's starting to look like Superman. At least my version of it. Also, what I like to do on a muscular neck is get the neck muscle where it comes down, just to indicate it. And also you can put a light shading over that because of course the chin always has a shadow under it and gives you some depth. Make it look like the chin and the lower jaw are, sticking out. Gives you that look. We're not going to go too far, but just give us some frame of reference. Of course, the trapezius on a superhero that's developed would up a little higher. And just a few extra little line here and here. You can do a lot of different things with the neck muscles and veins and tendons, but typically they're in the shapes of triangles we're laying in. Okay, now before I go to the eyes and get those started, I'm going to switch. Now that everything roughed in, we're starting to see, yeah, this is kind of looking like Superman. Hey, if you're enjoying this and it's helpful, let me know in the comments. And also, don't forget to hit the like button. That lets me know I'm going in the right direction with this because this is the first tutorial. Yes, thank you very much. Is that Harshal? Is that how you say that? Appreciate you being on. Appreciate your comments, Harshal. So now we're coming in with the eyes. So darken this a little bit. These brows come up to maybe a point here. All right. Welcome to my first tutorial, Mr. Nismo. Here we go. All right. So now we can darken this in because even though I'm doing Superman on my Marvel and comic book channel, it's a well-known face and no mask to get in the way. And just for a tutorial, I didn't want to include a masked character like that, somebody else. Thank you very much, Harshal. I think it was too, Nismo. Yeah, I got off work early today. We didn't have much going on. Had some vacation hours to use up, and so I'm doing a bonus video. All right. That is awesome, Nismo. So now I can get these nostrils. See, right now it's just nostrils, but our mind fills in the rest of the details. Because that's where the nostrils are supposed to be, and we'll get to the nose in a second, but I want to get the eyes laid in. So this top lid line for the eyes is just a subtle curve, because remember, I always make my Superman with a very serious look, like, don't be messing with me, sucker. So I just come in, like, this brow is so, downward in this serious expression that it's beginning to cover that corner of the eye. And then you just come down here, and you don't even have to finish this line across, just kind of lighten it up and do a solid in the corners. You can kind of get a feeling and leave the bottom open. That's something Jim Lee does. Yeah, and they don't have to look symmetrical, because you look at anybody's face and nobody's eyes are identical. Some people's eyes are horrifically different. Almost like you can see that one side of their face looks bright and happy, and the other side of their face looks like somebody else's face, like they're really serious. And so that's where we start. I don't want to go on too fast. I want to kind of stress the point. These eyes aren't identical, but they work well together. And this top line is the dominant line, the top lid, because that would have more shadow on it. And then the bottom, you just come part way, stop, little dash, and then come here. And it gives the eye a little more, believability. They look a little more realistic that way. And in drawing in comic books, you always want to have shortcuts to get the point across and make it look right, but spending hours drawing one face. Yeah, exactly. One eye with, and then like with me, looking at it from the paper, my right eye, turns out I always draw it first, and then the left eye, it's like I'm tucking my hand back, my hand's falling off the edge of the notebook in this case, or sketchbook, and And I always like to put a little shadow shading underneath the brow. It gives, you know, as far as superheroes are concerned and comic art, gives it a little more drama. So now let's go to the, let's finish up this eye first. So you don't want to draw big bags under the eyes, but you want to indicate how this bottom, you know, the eyeball is still under there. So you want to do a light shadow. Hey, told you I'd be doing a tutorial. Thank you for joining XILO. Yeah, we got a good crowd here. Thank you, everybody. And please, you know, I don't want to keep harping on it, but if you could give, and any comments or questions you have, include those in the comments. And if you really enjoy this and want to see more of these tutorials, I'm starting with the head for tutorial because when I draw a character, I always start with the head. The shape, like when I started, it was just the dome for those of you who are joining. Come straight down on the sides, indicate a jawline. I don't know what that means. X, Y. Okay. Head coming down. You can see the basic shape. So this was just a dome, straight lines down. Stop, indicate where the jaw is turning in. Of course, Superman has a powerful jawline. Okay. So those are just some faint lines. You know, you might want to do little character lines over here. Nobody, it's 100%. I'm going to leave his eyes open. I'm not going to try to put in. Before we go to the lower face, let's finish up this forehead. Yes, I'm free. I never have this time of day free. Thank you, everybody, for joining this tutorial. This is comic book style art, just for you who are joining. This is my first tutorial I've done. I have two channels. I have GCI Studios, and then this that you're on currently is GBS, Gibson Book Studio. And so I started, the GCI is a lot further along than this one, but I'm trying to propel this channel as well. So that's why we're doing a tutorial. I've had multiple requests in the last few weeks for tutorials. So since I start with the human head, that's what I'm doing here today. Hello. I do speak English. That's what I'm trying to do. Oh, you're talking to Nismo? Okay. All right. Let's finish the forehead. So these lines that I drew for the temples, I'm going to lighten those up just a little bit because as I go through the drawing, I want those to be lighter, almost like similar to the lower lid highlights. So I'm going to come there, and then I'm going to do another light line to kind of just confirm that he's borderline, you know, pissed off, which as I like to draw Superman, you know, just a little bit on the pissed side. Makes him a little more intimidating, not such a Boy Scout. And you just kind of do a little indicator there. When you haven't really picked a light source yet, we'll keep the light source like at almost noon to 1 o'clock or whatever, just for superhero and comic book reasons. Yeah. Okay, so now we got the forehead, got some indicator lines here coming up. Thank you for the likes. Consider subscribing. We appreciate the support everybody gives. We've had a lot of new support here lately. All right, so it's looking like Superman already, but we've got some things to finish up. We want to come in some detail to the nose. So the first thing you do with the nose, that part between the nostrils, oh, whatever, you look constipated. The septum, the bottom part of the nose, you draw that, and then just make a few lines for the end of the nose. So you see that. So let me redo that down here separately. So you have the two nostrils. And it's just two shadows. Between those is the divider between the nostrils. You make a slight shadow for that. And then as it comes up, you indicate the shape of the end of the nose. So I just kind of did two wings coming off of that, and you get that rounded, because that's the way I draw Superman. I could make him all happy with a dumb smile on his face, showing his teeth, but I don't want to. That's not how I draw him. I draw Superman very serious. Okay, so you see that? Shadow up. I'm not drawing any specific lines here. I'm just doing shading to indicate that nose. So you can use with, lighter or smaller fine liners. Like when it comes to inking, this is what I would use. Once I get this pencil drawing tight and show you how to do the tutorial on the face, then what I would do if I was making this into a part of one of my comic book pieces, I would come in and do the inking portion of that right over it. So here we go. We got Superman. He looks slightly constipated, not extremely constipated. I just did a shadow for that and indicated the end of the nose. All right. So then we do the wings or the nostrils. And so for that, we're just coming around. So let's move this up here a little bit. We have the nostrils under it, and then I just come around, and I just come around this way, and it's already getting that look that you're trying to achieve with the nose. And then this would come up with some shadow. Say the light one's coming from here. So it's pretty simple. It's boom, boom, shading up to the tip of the nose. Just a couple little angular lines. And so when you're doing comic books, this is a nice shortcut for a head-on look at the human nose. You bring down a little bit more. I call him Nismo. Because he says that in his videos, that he's telling me, pronouncing his own name, but it's so fast, I'm not even sure what he's saying, so I still call him Nismo. All right, anyway, back to the drawing board, literally. So that's the nose. It's pretty simple. Start with the nostrils, shadowing, just a little shading, light shading. Don't get too dark at this stage. Boom, boom. And it looks like a nose coming right at you. So that's what we've done up here with our face. I'm bringing this nostril around a little bit more. I'm glad you guys are bonding during my tutorial. Seriously, that is good. We got to build the community up here on GBS as well. So then you come down with a little shadowing. I darkened that in a little much. Get this a little bit darker. So you can make him look a little happier by making these side. See, now he's serious, but he's got a little bit, not a crazy smile like the Joker, but. So then just make the indicators, because everybody, from the bottom of your nose, you have these indentation, and this leads up. It's the direct aromas to the nostrils, so you can tell what something smells like. I tape on the pencil to make it a nicer grip. So on a small pencil, when you're holding it for several hours, I'll get one I haven't taped up, or a pen. So like on a pen that you haven't, and you're keeping your grip tight, it makes you feel like you're tensing your hand. But with this, when you add it just kind of lays in your hand, and you can, when you're drawing for an hour or two at a time. You should try it. It really does help. Makes it a lot more comfortable. All right, let's get back to the picture here, the tutorial. So this is usually a little darker under here because of the nose. So we can make some shadows here. And this, just kind of shade this in a little bit more. Add some shadow for the side of the nose coming up toward his eye. Define that a little bit. Yeah, it's just for comfort really and control. I'd seen Dave Finch do it, David Finch, a comic book artist who has a real good channel on YouTube. And so I thought I would give it a try, and I like it. So I've been taping up my pencils just for the grip. Okay, so the ear, we have that little tab. So let's go to this ear, larger version of it. This is looking at the ear from straight on. Top of the ear comes up, this comes down. And then we want to include this little tab that everybody has on the front of the ear. You don't have to get detailed or the exact anatomy on the ear, but you just make a few structures, coming back. How am I 60? Well, I didn't die when I was 59 and I became 60. That's how I became 60. I know that's not what you meant. All right, that's enough constipated talk. I might just put you in timeout because I have too many moderators on here but you. So it's bad when you got to put your moderators in timeout. Anyway, so for those of you who really want to learn something, we'll continue with the tutorial. So get this top lip a little more defined, a little darker on the bottom. Then with hair, you don't want to draw each individual strand of hair, but you want to draw clumps or almost ribbon hair. So you just wave it back and you're just indicating maybe wider, narrow toward the front, widening out. That's what would be a moderator in somebody that I have chosen to help me with my channels to keep the shenanigans at bay. Like Nismo has the ability to put people in timeout when they're coming in here and acting stupid. Kind of like he was a minute ago. So you do those ribbons and then you can just color in, add a few strands where you want to. And then with inking, you can fill that in even more. Now on the face, there are lines that come down around the mouth. So I'm going to erase this nose here. Not quite yet, XYLO. I don't know you that well, so we'll have to build up a little rapport before I just start making you a moderator. Kind of regret making Nismo one so fast. Not just kidding. So you have those lines that come down toward the corners of the mouth. So what you want to do is start those up here, keeping it very subtle, not making a heavy line, but just an indicator, because they come up this far. Don't be begging me here. I'll knock you out of here. Just kidding. No, it's going to take a while. I don't know you yet, but we'll see if we can get there. Superman, not Superman. Yeah, you're... Okay, you go on your phone and you go to my channel here, GBS Studios, Gibson Book, and go to the community and you can post your artwork. And I will take a look at it and give you some tips and suggestions. So we do a little more shadowing because the brow bone sticks out. Why aren't you able to? Other people did. You have to be a subscriber for at least one day and you can post things on the community. You have to be on a phone to find the community, because I've noticed on my iPad the community function or option not show up. So if you don't have an iPhone or some type of phone, you probably can't get to the community. But several people, including Nick and Ghosty and who else? All kinds of people. Uh, Yoshi, he's been Ayush is his name. He's been uploading stuff. So do you have a phone, Nismo? All right. Well, let's get to the eyes. So that we don't want to go too far with those, because the more pronounced these lines are, the older the character works, and we don't want to age Superman out too far. Okay, so then with the eyes, we're starting the top lid, and we're just doing a circle, getting the iris of the eye roughed in, trying to center them both so it looks like both eyes are looking straight ahead. And those are light lines too, you don't want to, and you can make a little dot in the center for the pupil, which gives it character. So if you are enjoying this, please give it a like, and if you would like to see more of this content in my other videos and more tutorials, please consider subscribing. This will also be showing on GCI after I get it loaded. Yes, if you have a phone and you see where there's the community section, send me some of your stuff so I can look at it. And I will give you suggestions in the comments right below it. In comments. All right, that's 30 minutes. That is my first. Oh, hey, Kevin. Thank you for joining the tutorial in the GBS first tutorial. Drawing the human head and face, comic book style. And that is my version of the Man of Steel, Superman. So what time is there again, Nismo, right now? I know you can never make this stream. What time is it, Nismo, where you're at? How can it be 10:45? It's 11:12 a.m. here and 10:45 p.m. there. That is crazy. Yes, I have Gmail. Hello, Wyatt. That is my grandson, Wyatt, who just joined our tutorial live stream. Okay. So the Gmail you can send it to. I'll write it out on here. Just a second. Let me get something so you can be able to read it on here. Where am I at? Boom, boom, boom. Yes, I have a I'm over 60. I got a grandson and a granddaughter. Me and my granddaughter do step-by-step drawing on here. You knew that. Let's see. I want to get this right for you. All right, so you're going to be sending this to the GCI. Because he didn't want to be on the stream. Leave him alone. He's got stuff to do. All right. Here is my Gmail. Gibson cover, a small r, not a large r, illustrator. And after that, you say DCI at Gmail. Gibson cover illustrator DCI at Gmail. Where am I at? Is it still working? Can you hear me? My phone's probably overheating. All right. Thank you, Nismo. Oh, it's just some lag going on, but you can still see it. Yeah, my phone's be overheating again. Just a second. Okay, can you hear me now? Thank you for the likes, everybody. All right. You got to see what? Oh, you got to see my live stream? Is that what you mean? Is this thing working? There we go. Yep, thanks for joining, Wyatt. And you're still here. XYLO. All right, that will conclude the tutorial. Thank you for joining, Wyatt. Thank you for being here, XYLO, WX. That will conclude my first tutorial on how to draw in the human head, comic book style, with the face, with the Superman. Thank you for the likes. I will check out your posts when I get done here. So I will see you soon. Bye. See you later, Wyatt.